How does Venezuela wake up the day after the United States attacks? A tense situation has been experienced throughout the country, and I'm on the streets of the city of Porlamar, perhaps the most important city in eastern Venezuela, to find out how people are experiencing this situation. It caught everyone in the country by surprise, and no one expected it to happen. An attack of this level, of this magnitude in the country, has left us all in total uncertainty. Right now, it's Sunday here. At this time in the morning, this is what one of the most important cities looks like, Margarita Island, where there are approximately 200,000 inhabitants. And on a Sunday on one of the main avenues, this is the scene on 4th de Mayo Avenue, little traffic, few people, where normally this whole avenue is filled with vendors of all kinds you can imagine. However, supermarkets like this one, so important, Nova, which is a new chain that has expanded. In fact, this supermarket is recent. They've remodeled it. They're open at this hour. And to give you some context and update you on what it's like living a day after this tense situation in the country. And over here, we're going to head into the central part of the commercial area in this very important region of the east of the country, the city of Porlamar, to find out what people are doing, whether there are places open or, on the contrary, if everything is closed. Well, first of all, as you know, yesterday, the situation that unfolded in the country and has affected the daily life of Venezuelans began in the morning with a sense of nervousness. Everyone went out to buy food, to buy water. The stores were closed. No one expected this situation. In fact, it caught everyone by surprise, myself included. I didn't even have water at home and had to go out until I managed to find some. At present, I still don't have water because the water trucks are basically at a standstill and the water sources here on Margarita Island are not open. But anyway, this is the situation we're seeing. We're now heading towards what is Avenida Igualdad, which is where most of the island's businesses are concentrated, Margarita. And what we can see are some small vendors like coffee sellers and a few other shops that have opened. But if you look, the vast majority of businesses are closed. I want to point out that all these stores are usually open. In fact, on a normal day, even today, Sunday, businesses here are open until 3 in the afternoon, the ones that are like bodegas. Well, there are people over there having drinks. There's a family here carrying some bakery goods, more or less. And we're going to go in. Starting from this corner, we're entering one of the most important avenues to find out if businesses are open or, on the contrary, if most people have closed up. Well, as I was saying, it's been a pretty complicated night. In fact, I was even talking with people who are here on the island, tourists, who have written to me saying they couldn't sleep. And well, that's normal. I haven't slept much either, keeping an eye on the news. There's a lot of information about what President Trump is saying regarding the situation in reference to the attacks that took place. But without a doubt, we also have to mention the unfortunate fact that there are victims who suffered because of the attacks carried out yesterday. But perhaps there isn't any official information at this moment as I'm making this video about how many people have unfortunately died or how many are injured. At the moment, there isn't any information beyond what is being heard on social media. And so I don't want to take a stance on this without having official information to share with you. What I can say is that different airports in the country were affected, such as in La Guaira. Some areas of La Guaira were impacted. The Higuerote airport was also quite affected, and structures like those in Fuerte Tiuna and even apartments in nearby areas also felt the effects. People I know who wrote to me are even near Caracas, in areas like El Paraíso and El Junquito. They also felt the loud explosions from the bombs that fell in the capital city yesterday. Unfortunately, it was a very intense situation, and many of us Venezuelans had no idea what was going to happen. How much things have changed. Well, yesterday the airspace was closed, and today at this time it has already been reopened. According to news from the United States, the airspace over the Caribbean has been reopened. And here in Venezuela, therefore, the airports are already operating. In fact, I just heard passenger planes, commercial flights already flying, starting to take out the number of tourists who were stranded yesterday here. And even the shipping lines, all of them are operating. Well, you can look ahead and you start to see more activity here. Let's say about 20% of the businesses are open. A number of others are still closed, even pharmacies and phone stores on this side. And yes, it changes a bit here. In this area, you can see more movement. I wasn't expecting this because you have to take several factors into account. The first factor is that today is Sunday, and Sundays are usually like this. Naturally, traffic always decreases on Sundays. And the other thing is that today is January 4th. So, since it is the beginning of the year, the number of people also goes down. Tourists start to leave, and that's normal, but still, as you can see, street vendors are already starting to set up at this time as I'm recording the video. And that's something very typical. Now, however, the bigger stores, look, practically all of them are closed. Just one is open. Here, an Arab who sells appliances. As for supermarkets, today there is already information that many will only be open until 6 in the evening. Normally, supermarkets here are open until 10 at night. So they're going to be working reduced hours. I don't know if it's because of the transportation issue, but still, you can see that public transportation is running today, Sunday. But I can tell you that here on Margarita Island, things have been pretty normal. That said, yesterday there were lines everywhere. Supermarkets, pharmacies. In fact, people basically cleared out the pharmacies here, buying up almost everything they could. And from the beginning, I had mentioned that there was no need for this kind of panic buying. Because today you can already see that the supermarkets are open again. Up ahead, we're going to go to some big supermarkets so you can see how things are going in this very important area of the island, Margarita. A lot of people are heading to work because even on Sunday, many people work too. We're talking about the fact that this is the center of Margarita Island, where businesses usually open on Sundays. So you can see the amount of activity starting to appear in this area, which I honestly wasn't expecting. It's really taking me by surprise. But will people have to keep going? Despite this extraordinary situation that happened yesterday in Venezuela, which stands as a milestone in the country's history, because no one could have imagined if someone had told Tito 4 days ago that there would be an attack in Caracas, in the city of Caracas in the United States, that would never have crossed our minds. And today, unfortunately, it sets a precedent in the history of Venezuela, but well, this is the reality we are living. Venezuelans have to keep going and continue with their normal lives. Yesterday, honestly, even though it's said that nowadays the official pages recommend staying calmly at home, people need to go out to buy their food. They need to go out to get their medicine. They need to go to work, because if you don't go out to work, obviously you won't eat. That's how food sales are right now. They look pretty normal. It's tough here. Officials out on the street, they're the ones who are more or less keeping an eye on everything in this area. I want to show you something, because this is the area that connects to the Castillo shops and other important places. And normally, all these shops open on Sundays until about 1 in the afternoon. Today they're closed, there's only one stand open, and it's selling snacks and things, those that are sold on this side of the plaza. I want to show you what the plaza looks like, because the plaza is always super crowded. But on days like these, and well, today you don't see as many people as usual, you could say. This is the scene at this hour I want to show you. Let me tell you, last night, I imagine you too, I slept very little and something strange even happened with one of my cats. His behavior changed, even the animals were different. Yesterday, there was a certain atmosphere in Venezuela. So strange that I can't even explain it to you. For those of us who are here, we know what we're talking about. But the atmosphere that was felt yesterday in Venezuela and here on Margarita Island was something completely strange. It was a feeling of uncertainty, of insecurity. Any sound we heard made us think something was about to happen, like if there was a firecracker or something. So we were kind of paranoid. And so, well, something happened to me that I want to tell you about, really, something very strange with one of the cats in the house. He came into the house. One of the cats started scratching at my bedroom door like crazy, something he had never done before. When I opened it, he looked scared and jumped onto the bed. And well, I sat there not knowing what was going on because he had never done that before. And he climbed onto my chest and took refuge there, like he was afraid, like he was scared. That was at the beginning of the morning when I found out the news. Maybe I was transmitting that to him too. And at night, it was a complete change. Later on, when things were calmer, the cat was acting crazy, happy. Well, it's a very strange feeling, but animals feel it too. Look, this is another one of the most important areas where all these shoe stores and pharmacies and everything are located. They open today, but well, this is the scene. You don't see much activity in this area, and that's what I want to show you. However, knowing that things are starting to return to normal here on the island, Margarita, now that the airport is operating again, I was telling you about that. Yesterday, a friend of mine had basically run out of a hotel because her stay was up. She wrote to me today and told me they've already notified her. My travel agency told me that the airline she's flying with, which goes as far as San Cristobal, is leaving today. So it's something positive that all domestic flights are now operating again as well. Well, in fact, you can see people with suitcases already, as if they're leaving Margarita Island, many of the tourists. Remember what I told you, today the normal return begins. Well, since January 1st, the normal returns had already started. Many of the tourists who are here were literally stranded, but fortunately, today, they are finally starting to leave. In fact, I was watching the news and all the shipping companies, the ferries. Today, they were already loading up a lot of the tourists who were here with their vehicles, with their motorcycles, something extraordinary that no one expected. Actually, I was also expecting a visit at Christmas, and they told me, look, I'm not going to travel to the island. I canceled because there's a lot of uncertainty and I don't want to get stranded. And well, look, it happened to a lot of people who weren't expecting it. On the other hand, something positive, I can tell you, honestly, all day yesterday, the power didn't go out. Even though it was said that if something happened, the power would go out practically all over Venezuela and the internet, and that wasn't the case. For example, here in Margarita, the power didn't go out, and so far, at this moment, it still hasn't gone out. The internet was a bit slow yesterday, but still, I was able to stream. At one point, I managed to upload the videos, and at this hour, after checking and reviewing my social media, well, the internet has been working fine, so let's go. I've been adding this to show you how people are living here. This area is also one of the busiest here in Margarita, and where you start to see more activity, well, here are the buses, as usual, waiting for passengers. And well, you can see a lot more people here, just as I imagined, because from here, from this spot, about 700 meters, almost a kilometer ahead, is the bus terminal. Most importantly, this is where all the small cities and towns on the island are connected. Margarita. And everyone comes here to spread out into this commercial area, which is so big. Well, famous stores like this one, Mundo Escola, are closed, but the Asian-owned ones have opened. They're here, but honestly, there isn't much activity. There's another Chinese store over there too. It's open, but look, it's completely empty. I mean, yesterday people were really desperate because they wanted to buy everything they could find, but there was no need. Just look at the amount of products, food, and hygiene items available. That's why I always say you have to stay calm, you have to think with a cool head, especially for us Venezuelans who live day to day on a roller coaster. Today things are normal, tomorrow something happens. So it's a situation that we who live here in Venezuela have to learn to handle. I always say you have to learn to handle yourself in all situations, but above all with a lot of calm. Look over here. You can see a lot more movement because all the food businesses are opening up. Cautiously, little by little, some businesses are starting to open. And well, look, even the traffic is picking up in this area, and that's the situation just a few hours after the attack. What the United States has done to Venezuela is an unprecedented situation in the country and has caused a lot of consternation among those who live in Venezuela. Because it's not easy to live in a situation like this. In fact, the uncertainty caused by something so out of the ordinary, so abnormal for the average citizen. For the average person on the street, they didn't know what to expect from this situation. But well, fortunately now, today Venezuela wakes up calmer, more at ease. People are trying to go about their daily lives as if absolutely nothing had ever happened. However, the pervasive, tense, and fearful atmosphere still remains, lingering in the air. Even though, officially, according to the news, the United States has confirmed that there will be no more attacks in Venezuela. So that's something good, something positive that we have to hold on to amid so many things. What can we say about the sad things that have happened with everything that's going on? Especially for the everyday Venezuelan, because we have to think about those who were affected. There are so many news stories if you've seen them on social media. Innocent people died, civilians who had nothing to do with politics or the military, just people who happened to be near the targets. And unfortunately, they have suffered harm. There are many people who are injured, and that's what's truly sad. Well, you can see this part. We're already close to reaching the terminal. Right here on the corner is one of the newest and most important supermarkets they've built in this area. And as you can see, the situation is very normal. People are coming to buy their food. Look over there at the food porters. At this hour, they're loading a lot of flour. I want to say that Venezuela currently, at this time, has a fairly significant food stock of food items. which has consistently ensured the continued distribution of food to the population. And you can see here the amount of food packages there are, so there's no need to be alarmed because this is what you see. There are many supermarkets that are open, selling food at this hour. Above all, well, I think this is where the important role of the Chinese comes in, the Chinese supermarkets. And this, yes, look at how it looks at this hour, packed with people lining up to buy food. And well, there you can see how it is. The activity at this hour, some are alone, others are active, and others show different faces, like the street vendors who, yes, you don't see much movement from them because people right now at this moment, look at this Chinese store packed as well. That's the situation people are experiencing. This one is full, and it mostly sells things like hardware, goods, costume jewelry. It was packed in there, so that surprises me because it wasn't food. But nevertheless, it was full. This is a bakery, and this is how it looks right now. Over here, we also see another pretty big supermarket, and this one is open, but only halfway up the shutter. That is there. You can actually see the door right there. Let's get closer so you can see. It's not completely open, they're just letting people in kind of in passing. But something positive I've noticed is that there are no lines anywhere at this hour. You don't see any lines, you don't see crowds of people like yesterday. On this side are the vegetable vendors and street sellers. And down there are the motor taxi stops. But that's it, nothing more. There are only about 3 motor taxis there, so there's not much activity. And let's see, because what you do notice is a strong police presence. Honestly, it's out of the ordinary. The amount of police presence in this area, people shopping, and here are the butcher shops at this hour. Another positive thing is that prices have stayed the same. Where I went, they kept the prices, which was one of the things I was most concerned about, that maybe, like in other times, prices would skyrocket. I was saying, well, hopefully that doesn't happen, but no. Fortunately, everyone has been mindful to sell at the prices that were set, the normal prices you see in supermarkets. So let's see, because there are also some vendors on this side. Well, there are even people here buying cakes. Look, I mean, well, that's what I'm telling you. Well, the typical cakes, these cakes that they sell for $3, people have to live their lives, keep going with their routines. Venezuelans aren't going to stay locked up. They have to go out to work, to earn money, to find food, to keep going with their day-to-day lives. And that's something amazing, because if we put into context how tense things were yesterday and today is practically, well, not normal because it's not normal. The street, you can see this place is always packed, so crowded you can't even walk. And today, well, we've already talked about it. Maybe it's because it's Sunday, because it's January 4th. So all of that also has an effect. That's kind of the situation. This is one of the newest supermarkets they've built in this area. And at this time, well, there's no line, no traffic. You don't see any kind of nervousness about going into the supermarket. And on this side, there's another important market in this area as well. Let's see if the whole market is open or if only some of the fruit and food stalls are working. And no, look, it's completely, if we look over here, people are coming from the terminal and all the vegetable stalls are open. At this hour, they're selling their vegetables, selling everything. Something that, without a doubt, I think is one of the most positive things that could be happening. Because there are a lot of people who couldn't buy food yesterday. But anyway, as you can see, all these people are coming from the passenger terminal, which is, let's say, the area that connects to the whole downtown of the city, which is quite large. I'm only showing you a small part of it. According to the movement, it's out of the ordinary. It's not as normal as one might have thought. And well, over here, in fact, this part of the terminal is even closed, which is unusual because that gate is always open, and now at this hour, it's completely shut. It's a situation we weren't expecting. Today, I want to show you how people are experiencing this. Remember, you can subscribe to the channel right now. I'm going to be posting videos practically every other day or even daily. At night, I think I'll be doing a live stream to show how things are going. The tense situation being experienced in the country, in different parts of Margarita Island, so you can get an idea of what this unexpected process that Venezuelans are going through today is like. And well, share this and I'll see you in the next update. Take care, goodbye. Hi, how are you? Yes, that's great, it's a pleasure. How are you? I love the video with your mom. Oh, well, that's great. Yes, with your mom, the food, and I don't know what. That's great, that's great. Yeah. I follow you. That's great, best of luck. Thank you. Teresa,
Bye.